Welcome. Today's video is about adding, subtracting rational expressions. So let's get our notes out and we'll get going. Remember, you can pause the video when you're falling behind so we can get caught back up and our notes are adequate. And also, if you need to hear something again because you didn't quite get it the first time, go ahead and rewind the video. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times before you can make the connection. Okay, so our objective today is students will simplify rational expressions by adding or subtracting. Let's go ahead and take a look at our first problem. So here we have two rational expressions being subtracted. Our first one is x squared plus 7x minus 3 all over 2x squared plus 3x minus 2. So go ahead and write that down if you haven't already. And from it, we're going to subtract x squared plus 12x minus 6 all over 2x squared minus 7x plus 3. So when adding and subtracting rational expressions, the key is a common denominator. If I look at these two denominators, excuse me, they're not the same. So we're going to have to go look for an LCD, a least common denominator, and we do that by factoring the denominators. Now in our previous lesson with multiplying and dividing, we factored both the numerator and the denominator so we could cross cancel. Again, both the numerator and denominator so we could cross cancel. But in adding and subtracting, we only factor the denominator, and that's to find the LCD. So once you go ahead and pause the video, make a note of that in your notes so there's no confusion later. Go ahead and do that now. Okay, let's go ahead and find the LCD. Let's start by factoring the first numerator. Now, there's a lot of methods to factor. For this particular one, I'm going to use guess and check. Okay, guess and check is simply looking at the factors, possible factors, and try to get them in the right positions. Now, my factors of 2x squared, there's only one possible set of factors. It's 2x and x. So I'm going to go ahead and throw those in there now. My last term is negative 2. Its factors are 1 and 2 and with opposite signs. What I have to do is figure out the right position for the 1 and the 2 and the signs. So when I multiply it together, the middle term comes out to be 3. So knowing that I have a 2 here, I'm going to go ahead and put a 2 here and my 1 here. Because my middle term is found by multiplying the first and the last, that's going to be 4. And then adding it to the two middles multiplied together, and that's going to be 1. 4 minus 1 gives me 3, so I need a positive 4. So this 2 must be positive, and a negative 1. All right, we've got the first factored. Let's go ahead and factor the second one. If you'd like to try it, go ahead and pause the video and do some guess and check and see if you can come out with the correct positioning. It is a quicker way once you get good at it. So pause the video now and give it a shot. And when you're done, go ahead and turn the video back on. Okay, hopefully you've got the factors in. Let's go ahead and check them. Again, the factors of 2 are 2 and 1, so I'm just going to put the 2x here and the x here. Factors of 3 are 3 and 1, and remember I'm trying to get negative 7. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 3 here because I know 2 times 3 is 6. And you add it to 1, you'll get 7. Now if we can get our signs to match up, we're good. Since the 3 is positive, both these signs will be the same. And since the middle term is negative, they both have to be negative. Now we're factored using guess and check. All right, I'm going to hold off writing the numerators. I'm going to leave them up here because I'm going to go ahead and find a common denominator now. So we'll just go like this for our numerator, same as above. Okay, the LCD. Let's go ahead and take a look at the least common denominator. The least common denominator will have every one of these factors in there. If we have duplicate factors on a term, we take the highest power. So let's start with the 2x minus 1. I know I'm going to have it because it's there. The question is what power? I have 1 here and I have 2x to the 1 to the first power here. Since the powers are the same, I'm just going to take to the first power. I have an x plus 2 and none over here, but that's still part of my denominator. So let's go ahead and write x plus 2. And I have an x minus 3 and there's none here, but I still have to have it. It is the highest power. And there is our least common denominator. All the terms are represented. And again, if you have a duplicate term, you take the highest power. Okay, let's go ahead and rewrite our numerators. So if I look at my first term, I have the 2x minus 1. I have the x plus 2. The one I'm missing is the x minus 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both numerator and denominator by x minus 3. And in retrospect, I should have brought that number down. It'd be easier to see and multiply. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that right now. So I'm going to go back and put in the x squared plus 7x minus 3 and the x squared plus 12x minus 6. I'm going to go ahead and put those back in. It'll make our work a little bit easier here. So what I'd like you to do is notice that our denominator by multiplying this now is the same. That's our common denominator. I'd like you to go ahead and multiply that together. So pause the video and go ahead and do that now. Okay, so hopefully you got that all foiled out. I did my work and I've gotten, or my new numerator is going to be x cubed plus 4x squared minus 24x plus 9. Okay, if you didn't get that, go ahead and check your work again. It's just FOIL or multiplication using distributive properties, the proper term. And we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Okay, looking at the other side, I have a 2x minus 1. And I've got that one here, so put a little check mark. Got that one, got that one. X minus 3, got the x minus 3. The one I'm missing is the x plus 2. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply numerator and denominator by x plus 2. And rewrite our new numerator. So go ahead and pause the video and do your FOIL. When you're done, start it back up and we'll have our answer. Okay, hopefully you have yours multiplied together, so I'm going to go ahead and do mine. I'm going to look up here and remember this is a subtraction, so I'm going to go ahead and put parentheses around this first numerator, put in my subtraction sign, and I'm going to go ahead and write my second numerator right now. So after doing my multiplication using the distributive property, I got x cubed plus 14x squared plus 18x minus 12. Let's go ahead and extend the bar over, close our parenthesis, and we now have a common denominator, and all we have to do is simply subtract the numerators. Okay, remember when subtracting your numerators that you have to actually go through and change the signs, subtraction. So go through and distribute through the negative. So I'll go ahead and do that right now. So that becomes a plus. So we're adding the opposite, minus, change the sign to subtraction, change the sign to subtraction and addition. And now it's just about combining our like terms. I can see the x minus x cubed minus x cubed will cancel out. So before we do that, let's kind of clean it up a little bit. We have 2x minus 1. We have x plus 2 and x minus 3. And we can see that those two go away. We have 4x squared plus a negative 14x squared, so that's going to be negative 10x squared. So we took care of these two. We have negative 24x and negative 18x, so add them together, I get a negative 42x. We have 9 plus 12, that's going to be a positive 21. Okay, we've now simplified this. The last step is to check to see if we can reduce it down by factoring the numerator and cross-canceling with one of these factors in the denominator. I know that we can't do this. I've already figured it out. So we're going to go ahead and stop the video here. But remember, that is your last step. And you also don't need to multiply your denominator together. This form is good enough. Okay, to recap, we found the least common denominator by factoring the numerators. We then rewrote it by finding the missing term in our common denominator and rewrote our numerators. Then it was simply just arithmetic. Multiply them together and combined our like terms. Okay, so if you have any more questions, go ahead and write them down and I will help you during class.